All right, are we live, everyone? We are live. Welcome to the second ARCA podcast of 2025. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Starting Parker here, and we are here to talk about the results. Last week was our preview show for the first ARCA event of 2025, the annual Daytona test. Well, now we are here with the results, and we have a lot of results to talk about. Who was fast, who was slow. Unfortunately, like usual, what happens in the test, we did have a crash. But like I said, welcome everyone to today's show, the review portion show of the ARCA Daytona test. Boy, can't believe we're already into 2025. Feels like 2024 just ended, but nonetheless, here we are. I'm going to go through my little intro, go through the beginning of every podcast, and then we will get right into the ARCA action. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Starting Parker on Twitter. We just surpassed 6,300 followers. So again, thank you for all the support on X, Twitter, getting that over 6,300. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when I go live. And super chats are open. If you'd like to support the show financially, more than welcome to. And, of course, go check out theracingexperts.com for all NASCAR meter-related content. So yeah, the annual Daytona test. We talked about it last week. We literally went through every single driver on the entry list, and that took the breath out of me. But yes, we went through every single driver on the entry list. All 77 drivers. Not all 77 did participate in the test. Looking at the total results, looks like we only had about 70. And a lot of the cars, not a lot of the cars, but some of the cars did not show up apparently. So we'll talk about that as well. What the full-time driver scene looks like. We were able to get some more clarification results of who's full-time and who's part-time and all that. And yeah, lots of fun action. So not sure we'll be here as long as we were last week, but hopefully we'll still be in for a long, fun show tonight. So we'll start off, obviously, with Thursday's practice. It's kind of weird. Normally they do this I always feel like they did this on Friday and Saturday. So for some reason they did this on Thursday and Friday, unless I'm missing something. I feel like it's always been on Friday and Saturday. So when they announced it on Thursday and Friday, I was confused. I still wish I could have went. Man, a lot of my friends were there. I wished I could have went, guys, to get some better content for you. But yeah, looking at the Thursday results, Amber Balcean, unsurprisingly, Amber Balcean, the Nitro Motorsports team. Amber gets a lot of flack, and I've given her some flack on this show before. But the Nitro team, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They bring fast equipment wherever they go. So it's not shocking to see that the Nitro Motorsports team were fastest. Amber is a great, I wouldn't say great, but she's a decent plate racer. She knows how to hold her own in a draft. She does. So her being fastest isn't shocking. And some of the other fastest cars, like the Venturini gang, you had Chase Pinsunielt. I'm still not good with names, so we'll just call him Chase in the 15 car. He was second. Lawless Allen was fourth. Jake Finch was fifth. Isabella Robusto was sixth. So unshockingly, the Venturini gang, very fast. Willie Mullins, he was the pole sitter for the race last year. He was third. Andy Jankowiak, seventh. Brad Perez, the other Mullins racing entry, he was eighth. And the other Jankowiak entry with Vincent Arthur in ninth, and Cole Raz in the 76. So yeah, only one Chevrolet in the top 10. Kind of weird. But luckily, the Chevrolets did rebound. 11th, 12th, and 13th were Chevrolets with Jeff Scoutfield, Jason Kitzmiller, and Catherine Legg. Garrett Mitchell, as you guys know, Cletus McFarland kind of was the story of Daytona test. Some people were like, was it just some guy named Garrett Mitchell, or was it actually the real Cletus McFarland? I'm like, no, it was the real deal, Cletus McFarland. And I tell you, for a guy who had never been in an ARCA car and had never been really around Daytona, I mean, he got up to speed pretty fast. He got up to speed pretty fast. He I don't know if he led at some point. I don't think he led at some point, but I do think he at least ran the top 10, top 5, maybe even for a little bit before slipping down the charts. But he ran over half the race distance in just a test. Garrett actually ran, I think, 40, 41 laps in the test. So Cletus definitely, he got his experience. And I just wonder, man, if he's running that much in the test, it really has my fingers crossed that we will see Cletus McFarland in the race itself come next month. Because, man, that'd be great for the series. having that kind of a YouTube motorsports name in the realm. And yeah, good for the series, good for Cletus, and generally good content for his channel, and good all around. I'm sure on Big Fox, they would love to have a guy like Cletus McFarland in the race. It just sucks that he has to go under his real name, Garrett Mitchell, and we can't actually list him as Cletus McFarland, because that would be a lot more fun. That would be a lot more fun, obviously, more recognizable than his regular name, for sure. Although Thursday was not without its incidents. During that, we had the 52, what was his name? The 52 of Bob Martin Motorsports. Not really sure what car this was, if it was a Nitro car or a Venturini car. Either way, it was a Toyota. He had a right rear tire go down. They messed up the front nose. Luckily, no damage. He got out unscathed, fixed the car. They got back out. His car was up to speed. He ended up 45th with a respectable speed. We did unfortunately have a crash in testing. Usually, unfortunately, we have at least one. Wouldn't call it a big one, but we have probably a 4 or 5 car crash. Usually, it feels like every year. And we did have that at the end of Thursday testing. I believe the 70 was involved of Ember Balcean, one of the class motorsports cars, 73. I'm not sure who else was. It was a 4 or 5 car accident. No serious damage. I think all cars involved will be repairable and more than ready in time for next month's race. But that's got to suck, man, when you crash in testing. But it's a nature of the beast. You get 4 or 5 cars together in the backstretch. One car checks up. There's nowhere for anyone else to go. So unfortunately, a couple of cars did sustain some minor damage to some kind of extensive damage, but nothing that I would say would total a car. So thankfully, everybody made it out of the test with a car that's at least raceable in the future. We'll go with that. That's about as positively as I can get it. We did, like I said, have some people show up that unfortunately did not make it to the test. Rise Motorsports being the most noticeable absence, not there. They were scheduled to test with Jeff McConney, Mike Seneca, Tim Goulet himself. I think the main spotter, Rick, was supposed to test, and maybe one other driver was supposed to test the 31 car. The story I got was that they were thrashing and thrashing and thrashing. Thrashing and thrashing and thrashing to get the car done, but couldn't get it done in time. So they did not make it out to the test. Oh, yeah, that's right. Elio, I think both of the Pinnacle Racing Group cars were actually involved in that small crash, because they said the 82 did get a little bit of damage from that as well. Like I said, Elio Castroneves was running in the test. I don't know if I did mention that. But yeah, the 31 did not show up, and the 03, they had troubles on their first day. Alex Clubb, he ran a lap, and then some of their other drivers, I think, burnt up the clutch. They had 2 clutch failures, did the 03 team. I don't exactly remember which drivers had clutch issues, but then they finally got Doug Miller out there to run some laps. They had tuned the motor down quite a bit, so, them running a 59-second lap, I mean, that's probably all the car really had in it, was a 59-second lap. But yeah, in total, 70 drivers were able to get out there, all the FastTrack guys. Some notable drivers in the FastTrack group, because FastTrack racing usually brings a huge amount of drivers. Burt Myers, the modified driver, usually see at Bowman Gray. Where's his name? Trevor Huddleston from the ARCA Menard Series West Division. He drives his own 50 car over there. He was brought over here to do the test with FastTrack. Cody Dennison, obviously, who'll be a part-time driver for the team this season. Ed Pompa, who will probably be driving at Daytona in the 10 car. Colton Collins, he was trying to get his super speedway approval. Presley Sora, the iRacer turned to a real racer. He was out there as well. And Zachary Tinkle, former driver for Hillenberg as well. Now, it should be noted that I don't know if I did mention it last week, but I'll mention it here again. Michael Maples is no longer affiliated with FastTrack Racing. He has gone out by himself with his own organization, Maples Motorsports. They will still field the 99. Yes, they will field the 99 car, but it'll not be this. It will not be fielded. That's the word I'm looking for. Fielded by FastTrack Racing. That'll be under Mike's own operation. And they are also fielding a second car part-time, the number 67, for Ryan Roulette, with a lot of equipment purchased from Greg Van Alst. Greg Van Alst, who's going primarily Xfinity racing this year with Joey Gase, looks to have pretty much sold off the entire ARCA team. I know the hauler is still for sale on Marketplace. I literally just saw it this morning on Marketplace. So, but other than that, I think Greg's pretty much sold off everything, and it looks like Maples Motorsports has gotten quite a bit of it. And I would assume the owner points go with that. I would assume the 99 car gets the 35 points, and maybe the 67 car gets the 34 points. Not really sure how, if that's the case, but I would assume if they bought the equipment from Greg, then that's probably would come with the deal. So, but yeah, Michael Maples in his own operation this year, separate from FastTrack. But it looks like FTR might adopt the number 9 as a new number, which that'll take some time to get used to. I actually quite like the number 01 a lot better than 9. Or they could have went with 09. I always like the ones that the numbers that have the 0 in front, like 01 as opposed to 1, or 06 as opposed to 6. I don't know why. I've always liked that a lot more as a racing fan personally. I think having the 0 in front of the number just looks cooler. Like 08 looks better than 8. 07 looks better than 7. That's just my personal preference. I'm not sure how you guys preference that, but that's just my personal preference. But yeah, and I do want to give a shout out to the 00 team, the Kennedy Aiken Racing team, Corey Aiken, TJ Harris, Nick White, Austin Vaughn. I don't know if there were some other drivers involved with that, but I want to give that team a shout out because that car has a legacy motor in it. It does not have an Ilmore, or I don't think you're allowed to run the Yates motors at plate tracks, but it had a legacy motor in it, and legacy motors have a lot of power turned down. They don't have the same power that the Ilmores do due to the plate that ARCA gives them. And I really want to give this team a shout out because to run a 53-second lap around Daytona with that kind of horsepower disadvantage, pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Like I really wanted to give these guys a shout out because running that fast around Daytona in a rookie team with a car that ran a dirt track last year, so like they got the setup down pretty well. So I really just wanted to give a real shout out to that team. Like, good job, guys. You know, running that fast. I'm not sure if it was an SB2 or a D3 Yates motor, which are part of the Legacy branded motors. But great job, because that is not easy to run that fast. Usually, you know, the Legacy motors are running out there at about 162 miles per hour, and these guys were getting out there 165, 166. So to get that much more speed out of that car, again, deserves a shout out as well. Like I said, we did have some returning faces that we usually only see at the plate tracks. We had Steve Lewis Jr. They were back. Great to see them back. They tore up their car pretty good last year. But they got the body panels all replaced. The chassis is all good again. So they were back. They were 37th on Thursday. Sean Core, great to see him back as always. He was 38th. Dale Quarterly, he actually had Dale and Alex Quarterly both testing in this event. Dale was 14th. Alex was 43rd on day one. So in total on Thursday, 65 drivers took a time. 65 total drivers took at least one lap. Some teams would not be going out until maybe I think until Friday. I think the 88 of AJ Moyer was there, but he did not go out until Thursday. He did not go out until Thursday. Kyle Steckley was the second driver who was sharing the 30 car with Garrett Mitchell or Cletus McFarland, and he did not go out, I believe, as well until Saturday. or until Friday, right? I didn't see him in the Thursday results. So I think, Kyle Steckley waited until Friday. The 18 team actually did bring 2 cars. I thought the Joe Gibbs Racing team would bring just 1, but they actually have 2 cars at the test. And kind of funny, William Sawalich actually ran more laps in the test than the race itself. He ran, I think, 81 or 82 laps. He actually ran more than 200 miles. That's kind of funny. I don't know why. I found that kind of funny. But yeah, Brent Cruz, William Sawalich, and Gio Ruggiero ran the 2 18 cars in the test. We even had a surprise appearance by Corey Day and Spire Motorsports. Yes, Spire Motorsports. God, it's like they're freaking everywhere now. They will be running a part-time car for Corey Day. Obviously, Corey trying to get his approval. It was announced that Corey will be running, I think they said, about 30 events. 30 events this season across ARCA, across trucks, and across Xfinity. I'm sure the Xfinity will probably be a little bit later in the season. They want to get his ARCA and his truck approvals probably done through there first. I'm still personally not very familiar with Corey Day, with who he is. The only thing I really know about Corey Day is him sending Andy Jankowiak into the wall at Kansas. That's pretty much my only familiarity with him, and I really wasn't impressed by that. So hopefully we see some more mature driving out of Corey Day in 2025. Will we? Probably not, but I can only hope so. I can only hope so. I'm still bitter about that because, man, I was there in person, man, and I didn't like that. I don't know. I shouldn't get into that, but yeah, I wish Corey Day nothing but the best, though. I'll just say that. Wish him nothing but the best, and I hope it all works out for him in the 77 team. I think he's driving Kansas again. He's actually driving Kansas again. So I don't know if it's the first one or the second one, but I think Kansas is a part of his schedule. I wish I could find it. I don't know. I'm trying to find it on my phone real quick. If I had saved, saved the schedule that he was running. It doesn't look like I did. Dang, it doesn't look like I did. So if anyone in the chat could put his schedule, because I think one of the media members did put out his ARCA schedule. If they could put it in the chat, I'll tell you all what it is. But I don't remember it off the top of my head, and I didn't save it on my notes on my cell phone. But the 77 will run a couple of races starting at Daytona. They will be at Daytona. Daytona, Phoenix, Sonoma, and Kansas too. Okay, so there it is right there. There's the schedule. Yeah, so not shocked by that. Again, the road course is a good option. Daytona is a good option. Phoenix is going to be a big field for him to test on, and Kansas is obviously the big track experience. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes for him. Other notes, I did mention last week, Amber Balcean, she is not going to be full-time. That was clarified to me. So I do apologize for that misinformation last week. She will not be full-time. She will be driving in select events. Now, how many is that going to be? Could be like 6, or could it be like 14? Who knows? But she will not be full-time this year. I'm not sure if Thad Moffitt is going to be full-time either. Surprisingly, Thad Moffitt has never ran a full ARCA season, and that surprises me in a way. But yeah, Thad Moffitt. I don't know if it's clarification that he'll be full-time. I hope he is, because we need more full-time drivers. We do need them. And I think he could actually probably do a little bit better in ARCA than trucks and maybe actually contend for a win, because Nitro is a good team. I mean, it's going to be top equipment at Nitro Motorsports. So, I mean, if Thad, if his DGR stuff didn't go out well years ago, this is probably one of his better chances at a win. Okay, Thad is full-time. Thank you, guys. All right, thank you in the chat. So yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know that Nitro will have at least one full-time driver. And, I've been really critical on Thad. I think the whole Faction 4060 was a real black eye for him, how badly that went, how badly it ended. I don't want to say this is his last chance. I'm sure he'll be around for a long time. even after this deal ends, if it's just a 1-year deal. But I do hope he does well. I never wish any ill will on any driver. We might criticize them from time to time, but I don't ever want them to purposefully run terrible. We just kind of mock them from time to time. But I really do wish Thad the best this year. I really do. And if he can win a race and prove a lot of haters wrong, good for him. Good for him. I want to see it. Prove me wrong too. Same with Chris Wright. Prove me wrong. Win a race. But yeah, other than the little crash we had, the incidents with the 52 car, the little crash we had at the end of testing, the real highlight of Daytona ARCA testing 2025, in my personal opinion, was the 67 car of Ryan Roulette. Not because of how fast Ryan was, but because the car looked amazing. I don't know what they were going for with that. The black roof, the white sides, the pink nose, the green numbers. It looked beautiful. Probably one of the best Daytona ARCA schemes I have ever seen in my life. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I posted it onto my Twitter. It is an absolutely beautiful car. I mean, we need a die cast. We need an absolute die cast of this car immediately, and it'd probably be the best-selling ARCA car of 2025. It is just everything I love about ARCA, the craziness, the wackiness. The pink nose is such a nice touch. I'm telling you, that 67 car will go down as one of the probably the top 5 best ARCA schemes of this season right now. God, it was such a great-looking car. Absolutely a great-looking car. Shout out to Ryan Roulette. You win best car of testing, without a doubt. Without a doubt, the best-looking car of Daytona testing. And a lot of these teams, too, they have to qualify in on speed come Daytona next month. So a lot of these teams probably were practicing qualifying runs, really making sure the setup was good. And I will say it is going to be a tough go for a lot of these operations that only come out maybe once or twice a year. One of the other operations we saw last year that we didn't see at the test this year, the 87 team, the Chuck Buchanan, Charles Buchanan operation. We did not see the Harmon team actually show up with Becca Monopoly. Becca's with her own team this year, City Garage. We didn't see them show up. There was a couple more teams. We didn't see Peterson show up. We didn't see Brad show up. A lot of those teams did miss the test, but they'll probably more than likely be at the race itself. But yeah, just a lot of these teams, you can tell that they're probably practicing drafting, but at the same time making sure that their single car speed is up to date. Wouldn't be shocked if almost every team maybe did at least 1 or 2 practice qualifying runs or just see what they tried to have for single car speed out there. Because you never know. I mean, the first things first, you got to make sure your car is handling right. It's drafting well. So yeah. The Kimmel operation, wanted to give the Kimmel operation a shout out. Will Kimmel, Scott Melton, and Nolan Wilson. Nolan Wilson, who raced. I know Nolan Wilson raced previously, but great to see him back in racing again. He was really excited about this opportunity. Scott Melton, he's kind of taking a step back from ARCA. Not sure if he is taking a step back from ARCA. Oh my God. No, we'll finish it. We'll finish about it in 1 second. But yeah, Scott Melton, great to see him back. I'm not sure if he's taking a step back from ARCA, but he's in the 68. Kind of weird not seeing him in the part-time. But we've got the driver of the number 9, who he drove the number 9 in the Daytona test. We got Cody Dennison in the chat, everyone. So how about that? Great to see you in the chat, Cody. Hope the test went well. Looked like from your Facebook post that the test went well. And for note, Cody will be driving for FastTrack Racing at Daytona. And he is locked into the show this year. He will not have to worry. More than likely, will not have to worry about qualifying his way in. Unfortunately, last year, he didn't make the race in the 86. We actually worked together. I was the car chief. He was the driver. Unfortunately, we had an SB2 motor. Not much we could really do about it. He did about as good as he could do. And we missed the show. But yeah, good for Cody. He will be into the race this year. Tim Kess is returning as the sponsor. Car was fast by itself. That's always ideal. Was a good deal. And no drafting practice. Oh, okay. So yeah, no drafting practice apparently. And I remember that's right. Presley Sora was telling me that apparently none of the FTR cars did any big drafting, or I don't know if they did any drafting in general. So, but hey, if that's much speed is in the car, by itself, that is definitely an improvement. Definitely an improvement. And hey, probably be pretty good to drive a car that's handling a lot better than it was last year. I love the fact that we got that 86 car on track last year, but man, that was a rough go. But yeah, that was fun. I could go on a whole trip right now, but that 2024 ARCA trip with Club, that was a trip. I loved it. It was something, but I loved it. Yeah, and we have another Fast Track Racing driver in the chat, Zachary Tinkle. Yeah, we were explicitly told no drafting. Okay, so yeah, no drafting by the FTR cars, which, hey, I mean, you look at the speeds from Friday, you know, these FTR cars were getting 175 by themselves. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The slowest Fast Track car was Craig Bracken at 53.20. And then the fastest Fast Track Racing car was, looks like it was Dustin Smith at a 51.36. So, yeah, and Cody Dennison was 40th at a 51.43. But yeah, definitely brought some hot rockets, did Fast Track Racing. Still unclear. I believe Fast Track Racing will be fielding 4 or 5 cars at Daytona. I know Ed Pompa's more than likely going to be in one of them. Ed always runs Daytona. We know Cody Dennison will be in one of them. I'm judging by his pictures. I mean, if you're still watching, I mean, I would assume you're in the 11. I would assume Cody is in the 11. I would love to see Takuma Koga make a comeback. Okay, so Cody did say it. He's in the 11. So Ed's in the 10. Cody's in the 11. I would assume Takuma's running Daytona again, because when I was talking with this PR guy, they did mention that they wanted to run Daytona again. So I would assume Takuma's in one of the cars. As for the other driver, I can't really think of who else would drive for Fast Track at Daytona other than maybe Bryce. Yeah, maybe Bryce in the car. He ran last year, so maybe Bryce returns again. Maybe Bryce returns again. We'll see. But I will hope Takuma comes back. He was a cool character. I love Takuma so much. So Bryce, okay, so Bryce, Ed, Takuma, and Cody are the 4 drivers. Yes, bring back Mike Basham. Yeah, God, I love, God, if Mike Basham could run Daytona, I'd love that. We moved to Friday's results. Friday's results was kind of a lot smaller. Not a whole lot of drivers went out compared to the other day. Usually probably the drivers that didn't make a lap on Thursday will go out on Friday. Like I said, kind of like Kyle Steckley, or maybe the people who didn't feel like they had a good setup from the other day and wanted to try something new before they loaded up. Let's see here. Who else? Let's see here. Did anyone else not practice on Friday that went to Saturday? The Kyle Steckley, AJ Moyer. Kind of a note on AJ's car. It just says Moyer Racing. So I don't know if Randy Pentorino is gone on that car because it's now listed as just AJ Moyer Racing. Let's see here. Anyone else? A couple of more Fast Track cars went out on Friday as well. Yeah, other than that, only 23 cars went out on Friday, and then the combined practice results, obviously. So in total, 70 different cars made, or 70 different drivers. I wish we had 70 cars. 70 different drivers made at least one lap. Amber Balcean did have the fastest combined time. In terms of who's going to be the favorite at Daytona, it's just hard to tell, man. It's hard to tell, in my opinion, who's going to be the favorite at Daytona. I would imagine the Toyotas, usual. It's just so hard to beat. It's so hard to beat the Toyotas at a track like Daytona. I feel like they have the best, in my opinion, they have the best body style for Daytona in terms of a streamlined body. So it's not shocking that they're fast, whether they're pushing or whether they're pulling the pack. I've heard from I don't know if anyone would agree with this. I've just heard from a couple of people in the garage that maybe the Ford noses are not the best to lead, but the best to push. Not sure how accurate that is. But someone couple of people in the garage who run Fords say that they just have a disadvantage at Daytona. Not sure how true that is. I've heard, yeah, we do well at Daytona. I've also heard other things that they don't run well at Daytona just due to the flatter design. Kevin Hinkle in the 86 for Daytona for Club is what Alex in the chat says. Kevin's a kind of a Kansas guy. Usually runs the Kansas races. That'd be cool to see Kevin at least attempt the race, but not sure if that car would not make it. I mean, it would make it if it rained out in qualifying, but I'm not sure that car would make it if they actually had qualifying because it wouldn't have an Elmore engine in it. But yeah. So yeah, and we talked about it last week. Our full-time drivers. So I think the full-time drivers that we have confirmed right now, the full-time drivers that we can confirm right now, we know it's going to be Lawless Allen and Isabella Robusto for Venturini. We know those are the two full-time cars. They'll probably have two other cars running full-time, but with various drivers. We know Thad Moffitt is. We know Brayton Laster is running the whole season for Peterson. LeVar Scott is back for Rev. Butterbean Queen is in the 28, and Michael Maples in the 99. Brad Smith as well. I think as of now, those are the only full-time drivers announced. Obviously not cars. We'll have more full-time cars, but I think as of now, those are the only full-time drivers, unless I'm missing any. If you guys can tell me if I'm missing any, I appreciate it. But I think those are our full-time drivers as of now. Because last time Cody Dennison we talked, Cody, I'm not sure if I could, you don't mind me saying it in the show, but last time we talked, he said he was not running full-time in the series this year. I don't know if you could confirm that in the chat, buddy. But I don't. Last time we talked, Cody said he was not running full-time. I wish he was. I wish he was running full-time, but I'm not sure if he is. Rita Goulet, I think she's full-time East. I don't think she's not approved for big tracks. He's not approved for big tracks, so I don't think he or she would be running. Just depends on funding. My truck schedule is packed to the gills. Well, how about that right there? So you already kind of let it slip, bud, that you were running trucks, but yeah, it kind of depends on funding for sure. But I know you're probably going to be at Daytona and Talladega at the minimum. I know that. Well, hope to see your truck schedule announced soon, buddy. I hope to see that now. I know you and I were talking about that. I'm going to keep that between you and me, but I know we were talking about your truck schedule, and I'm excited for you for that one, but we'll keep that between us. But yeah, other things to look out for, judging by these practice results. We know the Toyotas are going to be high, but man, don't count out those Willie Mullins teams. Willie Mullins' car was all skewed out last year. He was on the pole. That car was fast, so don't count out him. Andy Jankowiak, I mean, he made that famous quote last year, I'm just pedal to the metal until I see God. I think that was the quote or something, which was great. I mean, who doesn't love Andy Jankowiak? Everyone loves him. You do have some underdogs up there that showed good speed. Jeff Scottfield, they didn't really even get a chance to show what they had last year. They crashed out so early. LeVar Scott, he's ran very well in this event the last couple years. Who knows what Corey Day will have. Tim Richmond, interesting note on Tim Richmond. Tim Richmond's car was listed under Empire Racing. So, and I checked with David Richmond, the team owner, and that I'm not sure if they have merged operations, but the 27 car, I believe, is being kept at the Empire Racing shop now. So, and I think that's a better move for that organization. The 27 only runs part-time now. They don't run full-time, obviously. And I think it's just a better fit for them. It's a better fit for David Richmond and the entire operation. They merged operations. Okay. But yeah, and the Empire Racing sticker was on the 27. So that's kind of I think that's a nice thing. Nice thing for sure. Is the 63 going next month? That's a good question too. The Jeff Spraker team, their car was killed last year. I'm not sure if I did mention that or if it was mentioned, but yeah, John Aramendia, unfortunately, in the lap 3 crash, the 63 chassis was totaled beyond repair. So not sure if we will see them back. Jeff likes to run these plate tracks, so I would hope we see the 63 back, but no guarantees because that car took a hit last year, man. I tell you, the 63 was totaled last year, and the 10 car, I believe Ed Pompa's car last year was also totaled. I mean, we totaled a lot of stuff last year. I was there, man. That race was insane for all the right and wrong reasons. For all the right and wrong reasons, yeah. For all the right and wrong reasons, that race was something. SVG, spending six figures just so they could race and wrecking on lap 2. Oh, poor SVG. Oh, poor SVG. The 44 car, Jeff McClure has pretty much merged into Nitro Motorsports. So I'm not sure if we'll see the 44 itself come back. And for anyone asking, Carl Long, by the way, Carl Long did sell off that ARCA car last year, the one that Armani Williams did a fantastic job last year. But that car has been sold. I believe they even sold it to Jeff McClure. So I expect that car to be part of the Nitro Motorsports stable. So yeah, no Carl Long ARCA car. I know it was great seeing him last year, but I guess that was just a planned one-off. Other notables in that top 5, it'll be interesting to see. No Gus Dean. I think that's also kind of a shocker. No Gus Dean. He did win the race last year. He pretty much admitted in his post-race interview, if you guys remember, Gus Dean pretty much admitted that he was supposed to let the 20 car in last year and probably push the 20 car to the win of Jake Finch, but he didn't do it. Went after the win, and he got it. He got the win. So I don't know if that had to do with anything, but yeah, it's kind of weird that Gus Dean, who usually runs the plate tracks for Venturini, is not back this year. That is, I think that's one of the more interesting. Sorry, this one piece of hair won't stop falling. But I think that's one of the more interesting observations is that Gus Dean is not back for Venturini. And yeah, like I said, where does he go? He's clearly got money. Like I'm sure he'll find a ride. Yeah, I mean, he won Daytona. At the end of the day, I mean, even if you lost your ride down the line because you didn't necessarily follow team orders, I mean, you won Daytona. So nobody can take that away from Gus Dean. Good point. Cody makes a great point in the chat. Makes a great point. I mean, you won Daytona. So at the end of the day, like, how mad can you really be or frustrated can you really be at yourself? Oh, boy. But yeah, some underdogs, though. Like, it was great seeing Regina Servant. A lot of women represented in this test, too, if I can hopefully make sure I get all of them. We had Isabella Robusto. We had Regina Servant. Becca Monopoly. See here, who else? I want to make sure I get all these right. Catherine Legg, Amber Balcean. Am I missing anyone? Am I missing any other women? I think there was a lady that ran for Rev that I'm missing. No, I said Regina. Is there someone I'm missing there? I think there was a lady who ran for Rev. I can't think of her name. But there were Lane. Yeah, she ran the 2. Okay. But yeah, quite a bit of woman representation for this test. What NASCAR races am I going to this year? Daytona? We'll talk about that in 1 second. But yeah, great women representation in the test too. Always love to see that. But what NASCAR races am I going to? Daytona, we're 50-50 on that. Rockingham, going to be there. Definitely going to be at Rockingham. Kansas, Iowa, obviously. Indianapolis is a maybe. Just kind of depends on if I have enough money to travel. We'll be going to Watkins Glen for the vintage race. That's the first race I'm planning on with my car. With my vintage car is Watkins Glen. And then the Charlotte Roval. And then the Charlotte Roval weekend, we'll be running the vintage car at that one as well. So yeah. And you're running the Rockingham. I'm not shocked, but I know I know, buddy. When you saw Rockingham was on that schedule, you're probably going to think about it. You'll have the most experience on the track because you took your 12 car there. So back when you were running stock car classic events, Cody, You'll be taking your 12 car there. You ran your 12 car there, so you'll have the most experience of anyone at Rockingham. Yeah, I'm excited for Rockingham, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. Brad's excited for that one. Yeah, I can only imagine you driving them trucks. Hopefully just all the other knuckleheads in the truck series don't take you out, or you don't take each other. I don't know. The truck series is something else. Oh, boy. Yeah, and right now, one of the other, I think, specialty or speculations is Cole Raz going to be full-time? I can't see the AM racing team not being a full-time car this year. I know it's not been 100% confirmed, but it would just be so weird to see AM racing part-time or with various drivers. I feel like the operation would only want to run if if they were running full-time. So my fingers are also crossed that we get Cole Raz full-time ARCA, because he could really be a sleeper this season, you know. He did really well in the ARCA West Series for Jerry Pitts. Even won a race this last year. So I do hope Cole Raz is full-time. I know that has not been confirmed. But, man, if he is full-time this year, I would not sleep on him for a championship run and maybe even winning a couple of races. Oh, you'll be running Kern County. I would assume that's the one that's in a couple of weeks, Cody. And if it is that the one in a couple of weeks? If you could confirm that one, or is it the? Yeah, okay. Well, how about that? Cody's ARCA season's going to be in a couple of days. So how about that? Oh, man, I wish we could get a truck race at Kern County, man. I know it'd be a long haul for them, but man, a truck race or an Xfinity race at Kern County, that'd be great. That would be really great. So, well, hey, that's great. So yeah, it looks like Cody will be in the main ARCA series, the West ARCA series, the East ARCA series, and the truck series. Boy, Cody, you know sure how to get around in more ways than one. Oh, it's great. Yeah, I know. And yeah, people forget the old school truck series used to race out west. They used to go to Evergreen quite a bit too. So yeah, I wish trucks would go out there, but that's just, it's just such a long haul for them. But yeah, in terms of how many cars we're going to get for Daytona, the last time I personally talked to Charles Crawl, the ARCA PR, works with ARCA PR, we were talking, and he mentioned something about 50 to 55 cars. I think that's a fair estimate of what we're probably going to get. We had 50 cars last year. I think we are going to get more. When I talked to Charles, he said we're going to get more. The good news is we are guaranteed DNQs. We know that. We will be having DNQs at Daytona 2 years in a row. If you would have told me that, I would have believed you. It's great to see so many people wanting to run ARCA at Daytona. I just wish it was, full season, but, what you going to do? But, yeah, my guess is probably around 53 to 55 cars. And, they did change the provisionals this year. Last year was the top 34. This year, it is the top 32 on speed. Top 32 on speed, and then 4 Golden A provisionals, and then I think the 4 highest owner point provisionals, I think is how it goes. So, and I think once again for the second year in a row, it'll also lead us into DNQs at Phoenix as well. Because the ARCA West, I know the ARCA West fields do kind of struggle a little bit, but Phoenix for them is kind of their Daytona 500. It's one of the bigger, I think it's, if not the biggest track they run on for an oval. And so, and that race is going to be on FS1. It's, if anything, it's I think it's the only West race that's televised. So that race is going to have a lot more West entries than normal. And you probably mix quite a few ARCA entries. I think we might have 1 or 2 DNQs for Phoenix. The weird part about Talladega is Talladega doesn't have qualifying. They just set it by a draw or owner points or what. But I would imagine they would have to change that up if we have more than enough cars for Talladega. It really just kind of depends on how many cars we crash at Daytona, is how many cars we'll get at is how many cars we will be getting at Talladega. If a lot of them survive Daytona, then we'll probably see them at Talladega. But if they get destroyed at Daytona, we obviously won't see them there. So, and God, I hope we can get a better Talladega race than we did last year. Not much happened. I mean, literally the only things I can remember about last year's Talladega race was Cody Dennis in 3 wide in the Frog car and Brad out there in his short track car. And then nobody making a move on Jake Finch. That was literally the only 3 things I can remember about the ARCA race at Talladega last year. Was a Frog car, Brad running a short track car, and then Jake Finch leading every lap. That was all. So, but yeah, like you saw Cody in the chat mention, we are literally only days away from our first ARCA sanctioned race of the season, the 2025 race at Irwindale. We will be doing a preview show, I believe, probably next week for our first preview show. So we'll talk more about that then. We do know that today, Central Coast Racing will be fielding 2 full-time entries, the 3 and the 13. As we know, Tanner Reif will be in 13. And in the 3... Hang on, I want to get my notes right. Adrian Ferrier will be in the 3 full time. So great for Todd Souza's operation. I wonder if this means Todd's finally retired. Who knows? Sorry. But yeah, who knows if Todd Souza's finally retired? I hope he is. Well, I mean, no. Take that back. I don't want him to be retired. But I know he said he's wanted to retire for like a couple years now. So, yeah. Is Hillis running Kern? Well, we'll find out. Hopefully Nascimento comes back as well. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, Cody, which car you're in. I'll be curious to see what team you're going for. Curious to see what team you'll be going for. Another thing that I also wanted to mention before we get out of here was Mason Mitchell. As you guys know, Mason Mitchell, he's from my area, Des Moines. I think he's right out of West Des Moines, Iowa, literally right where I was born. Mason returned to ARCA this year. He ran a West race, and then he ran the 23 car, the Sigma car, both the races at Iowa. I think it was Kern last year. It was one race he ran last year in the 23 in West, and then one in the main division. Did very well. Very, very well at Iowa. And he basically put the classic pen note with a race car emoji and all that. So, we'll see what ride it's in. I wonder if it's the same car. We know Sigma is running the 23 full-time East with Tyler Reif. So, if he was returning to that car, he would have to run probably the 24. That is the Joe Ferre operation. So I'm not sure if it's going to be for the same team, but either way, I hope Mason is obviously back running Iowa. He's a great driver. For anyone who doesn't know, Mason Mitchell, he was one of the great underdog stories of the 2010s of ARCA. Great championship win in 2014. Unfortunately, just kind of money and sponsorship was just not where it was, and the team shut down in the late 2010s, which is a shame. And, Mason's kind of been trying to claw back his career. Really was a solid driver. I wish Mason could have got more of an opportunity. So if he's coming back on more of a part-time schedule this year, I'm all for it. I mean, hopefully it's for a good operation. I mean, you put that guy in a Venturini car at Iowa, instantly becomes one of the favorites to win that race. So hopefully it's for a team like a top-tier team, like Venturini, something like that. Because, they will have 2 cars. And I still wouldn't be shocked if we see 5 cars for Venturini again at some point this season. Just obviously not full time. Would not shock me. But I hope that I do hope that it's something good for Mason because he deserves it. You can call me a little biased just because I cheer for him because he's just from Iowa. But it's just kind of how I feel. Oh, but anyway, last few notes from the ARCA Menard Series test. Like I said, qualifying. I think I went over qualifying. It'll be held on Friday. The race at noon on Saturday. 3-day event for ARCA as normal. It's kind of the same schedule. Practice on Thursday, qualifying on Friday, and the race on Saturday. I don't think they'll be holding the race at 12:30 in the morning like they were last year. You know, that's what we were doing. I mean, I tell you, you have not lived until you're me and you're fueling a race car at 12:30 in the morning at Daytona. I can only imagine the driving a stock car at 180 miles per hour at 12:30 a.m. at Daytona. That was weird. And I don't know if I'll ever break my record. Just to be clear, guys, I know I said this last year. I want to tell you guys one more time. I got to the track with Alex and the team at 7:30 in the morning on that Friday, Daytona. We left the track at 5:30 in the morning the next day. 22-hour day at the track, straight. I've never been at the track that long. That was a long day. That was a long day. But boy, I was glad to be a part of that experience, that's for sure. But yeah, anyway, guys, it's going to be a fun year all around. We'll do our first ARCA West preview show next week. Daytona Test is in the books. Man, you know, it was a lot of fun, a lot of chaos as usual, and a lot of notes. And sure enough, just like usual, Daytona, the Toyotas, they're going to be hard to beat. But you know, after what we've seen the last couple of years, anything can happen, from an underdog winner in Greg Van Alst to absolute mayhem on lap 3. So that's the ARCA series at Daytona. That's why we love it. So, but yeah, guys, thank you again for tuning in tonight. Really hope we do well for this podcast. Last minute thank you. We reached over 1.5 thousand views. So I really want to thank you guys. My very first ARCA podcast to reach over 1,000 views. Let's hope this one gets over 1,000 views as well. So again, I appreciate you all. And we'll see you all next week for the ARCA West preview show. Have a great rest of your night. And yeah, give you all a goodbye salute, and we'll see you all later. Colby Evans, starting Park Car, signing off. So long, guys.